They said it was impossible to hold fire without burning. They said you can't carry light without being consumed by it, but no one told him that. And maybe that's why he tried. He was 7 years old when he first felt it, that burning, not on his skin, but somewhere deeper, somewhere no doctor could reach with a stethoscope or a needle. It was the kind of pain that doesn't bleed, it doesn't bruise, but breaks you quietly from the inside. His father had just left. No goodbye, no note, just an empty chair at breakfast, and a mother who couldn't look him in the eye anymore. The other kids at school had dads who showed up to football games, who fixed bikes, who laughed too loud at dinner tables. He had silence. He had questions with no answers. And he had this thing growing in his chest, this heat, this quiet rage that he didn't know what to do with. So he did what any boy would do. He swallowed it. He pushed it down. He carried it. But here's the thing about fire. You can't hide it forever. By the time he turned 15, he'd learned to wear a smile like armor. He'd learned to crack jokes when his stomach was empty. He'd learned to say, "I'm fine," so convincingly that even he started to believe it. But at night, alone in that small room with peeling wallpaper and a window that wouldn't close all the way, the fire came back. It whispered to him. It reminded him of every absence, every broken promise, every moment he'd been too small to matter. And that's when he made a choice. A strange one. A dangerous one. He decided he wouldn't let it destroy him. He decided he would carry it, not bury it, not run from it, carry it, like a coal in his pocket, like the sun itself, burning and unbearable, but his. People thought he was crazy. His teachers saw a kid who barely spoke. His classmates saw someone who didn't fit. His mother saw a ghost of the man who'd left them. But none of them saw what he was doing. None of them saw the weight he was lifting every single morning just to get out of bed. He started running, not from anything, toward something. Every morning before the sun came up, he ran through streets that didn't know his name, past houses where families still slept peacefully, where fathers were still there. And he ran with that fire in his chest, feeding it, letting it burn hotter, letting it push him faster. Because he realized something most people never do. Pain isn't the enemy. Numbness is. He got a job at 16, washing dishes at a diner that smelled like grease and old coffee. The owner was a man with tired eyes and hands that shook when he counted bills, but he paid on time, and that mattered. Every dollar went into a jar under his bed. Every coin was a brick. He was building something. He didn't know what yet, but he was building. The years bled together. 17, 18, 19. The fire never went out. Some days it was a whisper. Some days it roared, but it was always there. And he learned to speak its language. When it screamed at him to quit, he worked harder. When it told him he wasn't enough, he became more. When it showed him the face of his father in the mirror, he stared back and said, "I'm not you." By 22, he'd saved enough to leave. Not just the town, the version of himself that town had created. He moved to a city where no one knew his story, where no one asked about his father, where he could be whoever he decided to be. And for the first time in his life, he felt something strange. Not happiness, not peace, but possibility. He started speaking. Not much at first, just small things. He'd talk to strangers at bus stops. He'd share his food with the homeless man who sat outside the grocery store. He'd smile at the single mother struggling with grocery bags and offer to carry them. And something shifted. The fire that had burned only for him, that had kept only him warm, started to spread. People noticed, not because he was loud, not because he demanded attention, but because he carried something they recognized. That same burn, that same weight. And he didn't hide it.
He let them see it. He let them know it was okay to carry fire, that it didn't make you weak, it made you real. He started writing. Not books, not articles, just words, on napkins, on receipts, on the backs of envelopes, little truths he'd learned while carrying the sun in his pocket. Things like, your pain is not a punishment, it's a compass. Things like, the people who leave teach you how to stay. Things like, you are not the worst thing that ever happened to you. And people read them. They shared them. They tattooed them on their ribs and their wrists because they understood, because they were carrying fire too. But the story doesn't end there, because one day, 20 years after his father walked that door, he got a call, a voice he hadn't heard in 2 decades, older, weaker, broken. "I'm dying," his father said, "and I need to see you." Every instinct told him to hang up. Every memory, every sleepless night, every moment he'd had to be his own father screamed at him to let the man die alone. But the fire in his chest, the one he'd carried for so long, it didn't scream. It whispered, "Forgiveness isn't for him. It's for you." So he went. He sat in a hospital room that smelled like disinfectant and regret. He looked at the man who'd given him life and then abandoned it, and he didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just spoke. "I spent my whole life carrying what you left behind, and it almost killed me, but it also made me. Every step I took without you, I became stronger. Every night I survived without your voice, I found my own. You didn't break me, you built me. And I don't need you to apologize. I just need you to know I'm not your son anymore. I'm my own father now." The old man cried, but he didn't. He walked out of that hospital with something he'd never had before. Not closure, not revenge, but freedom. The fire was still there. It would always be there. But now it didn't burn him. It warmed him. It lit the way. Today, he speaks to thousands, in rooms full of people who've been left, who've been broken, who've been told they're not enough, and he tells them the truth, the one he learned carrying the sun in his pocket. You don't survive the fire by running from it. You survive it by letting it become part of you, by feeding it everything you've got, by turning your pain into power, your wounds into wisdom, your absence into presence. You carry it, and one day you realize you're not just holding the sun, you are the sun. They said it was impossible to hold fire without burning, but they were wrong. You don't hold it without burning, you hold it because you've already burned, because you've already walked through the flames, and you came out the other side not as ash, but as light. He carried the sun in his pocket, not because he was special, but because he refused to let the darkness win. And so can you.